Live on DSTV, channel 421, GoTV, channel 125, and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Good afternoon and welcome to The Pulse. This is where the conversation begins. And coming up this afternoon, Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyers are preparing this afternoon to mount a strong fight against his potential deportation as they file to extend his U.S. stay after his visa expired, which led to his detention by immigration authorities.
Has been detained or said that he is in the custody of U.S. immigration. He has a petition which is pending for an adjustment of his status to allow him to remain or continue to stay in the U.S. legally.
We have details as his legal team insists Ken Ofori-Atta will have to remain in the U.S. for his medical treatment.
Consultation with the medical team, we've been advised to remain and still continue with the recuperative stage of the procedure attendant on him.
Meanwhile, the United States government has reiterated President Trump's priority to crack down on what they term as abuse of immigration laws.
And that's what this is about. It's about the president's priority and why we have focused on it around the world in protecting our borders and enforcing our laws. And we're grateful to our partners who have helped us do that.
And government targets end of year as a new deadline to complete the long-standing Ghana Atomic Energy Commission Foundry facility to boost Ghana's industrialization.
Foundry is critical to our industrial transformation, and so we need to do everything possible to make it functional.
Also ahead, Education Ministry rejects NUC's exclusion as it insists students are duly represented on Scholarship Authority Board. We've got the latest of these and many other stories coming up shortly. My name is Kenneth. Jesse, don't go anywhere. Welcome back to The Pulse, and The Pulse, as always, is brought to you by Defendril Cough Expectorant. Defendril, breathe easy, feel better. Let's settle for the details now. And this afternoon, lawyers for former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta are preparing to fight a new legal battle to keep him in the U.S. and prevent his potential deportation to Ghana. Well, the former Finance Minister was taken in and detained on Tuesday by U.S. immigration officers for overstaying his visa. Following this detention, the next course of action will be for Ken Ofori-Atta to be deported to Ghana, but his lawyers are fighting to prevent that from happening. A member of Ken Ofori-Atta's legal team, Frank Davis, tells JoyNews their counterparts in the United States have filed a petition to extend his stay in the U.S. and prevent his deportation to Ghana.
Ken has been detained or said that he is in the custody of U.S. immigration. Yes, it is a reason because he has a petition which is pending for an adjustment of his status to allow him to remain or continue to stay in the U.S. legally due to the fact that the extent of his visa to remain in the U.S. has lapsed. So the petition has been pending and awaiting the resolution of the petition. That's what I have detained for that matter to be resolved and expeditiously dealt. So it is not a strange phenomenon.
So this is not a reaction to the extradition request by Ghana?
Oh, definitely not. Definitely. Our counterpart lawyers in the U.S. are working on the petition, and it should be resolved anytime soon. It's not something that is beyond the U.S. authorities to extend one period of stay in the U.S. If you are able to advance reasons why your visa stay or period should be extended.
And my colleague Ken Ofori has been providing details about the facility Ken Ofori-Atta is detained in.
Has been detained in the former Virginia jail, that's Newman St. Creek Regional Jail, repurposed into detention center, that's the Caroline Detention Facility. Now, this facility can hold up to 336 adult detainees, that's men and women, which now include Ken Ofori-Atta, depending on the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement contract and population levels, that's ICE. Now, the Caroline Detention Facility is one of the two major ICE detention centers in Virginia, the other being in Farmville. Now, in 2015, both facilities were running at high occupancy levels, reflecting broader trends of increased ICE detention since Trump's immigration crackdown. Now, in fact, as of November 28, 2025, the Caroline Detention Center has surpassed its maximum capacity, according to ABC 8 News. Now, as of November 28, the average daily detainee population of the facility was 346. According to data compiled by Track Immigration, that's 10 more inmates beyond its designed capacity. Now, the facility does not have a good reputation for managing detainees. Mr. Ofori-Atta will also share this new temporary home with criminals. The latest data from the facility shows that 120 of its inmates are in fact criminals. He will be part of the 226 detainees described as non-criminal detainees. For a former finance minister, and an investment banker, it's safe to assume that CDF will not be a comfortable home for the next few nights.
Let's get more on this, and joining me on the telephone lines right now is a member of Ken Ofori-Atta's legal team, Frank Davis. Frank, glad you could join me this afternoon. There's a growing public opinion that following Mr. Ofori-Atta's detention in the U.S. Facility of a visa overstay, the Ghanaian government could now move to seek his extradition. Is this a concern for the legal team as you also battle his immigration status with the U.S. authorities?
Good afternoon, and to your cherished listeners and esteemed viewers. Well, let me be emphatic and categorical about this. There is nothing to be of any significant concern to the legal team, because what has occasioned is detention, so to speak, is a purely immigration matter, which is common and routine. Indeed, for whatever reason, if your visa stay or period is about to lapse, and you have reasonable belief that you have to remain in the jurisdiction of the country for an extended period, you are allowed to, as it were, put in a petition for your immigration status to be evaluated and determined. So it is customary with the U.S. immigration procedures and practices and processes. So it is nothing new. It is nothing new. So yes, the petition has been lodged with the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which is popularly known as the ICE, and they are reviewing the petition. In fact, the counterpart legal team, our counterpart legal team in the United States,
right,
the team that our Attorney General, the leader of the bar, has described as a very experienced and cracked legal team, is working on the petition. And in the fullness of time, a determination will be made one way or the other, based solely on the merits of the petition. So there is nothing to be worried about. Absolutely nothing to be worried about.
And we're also hearing that your client has filed for a permanent residency in the United States. Can you clarify that for us?
I would not speculate and speak on that. That is not the reason why you called me. So let us focus on why you called. I'm not able to speak to the proposition that he has filed for an extended or permanent residency in the United States. I will decline the invitation to speak on.
You've already mentioned that you are in touch with your colleagues in the United States. How is your client doing? Because we know that that ICE detention center has gained some quite of notoriety there.
Whatever it is, whichever environment you find yourself, you learn to adapt. Like I always say, the good Lord God is keeping Ken Ofori-Atta as he's keeping all of us. He will make do with the limitation of the circumstances now. And when the matter is determined, you have his freedom and liberty today. So yes, it is not the best of facilities if you know that Caroline detention facility. But whatever it is, be that as it may, that is where the circumstances of his stay have found it. So he will learn to abide.
And we're also learning that his visa expires next month, and this was a visa that required multiple entry into the United States. The big question now that he's in ICE detention center is, why did he not do the multiple entry, exit the United States and come back to have prevented all this from happening?
You see, that should tell you the sincerity of the man we are talking about. You have just said something which is quite poignant and significant. He could have opted for that option, but because he didn't have any intention to run away from this jurisdiction, he went purposely for a medical procedure. So that was why his visa, strictly speaking, his visa is supposed to lapse or determine on the 14th of February, St. Valentine's Day. But because he is still attending on to his medical procedure on the recuperative stage, he thought it wise to extend his stay so that he can still receive the best of medical treatment where he is. So yes, he could have opted for that option, but he didn't think it was necessary at the time, and it is not necessary now. That petition will be determined, and we will all know the outcome.
You've always told us that the main reason Ken Ofori-Atta is out of Ghana and in faraway United States is on medical grounds. Now that he is in ICE detention center, is he getting that medication that he is required to?
I believe so. I believe so. The mere fact that he is in a detention facility will not absolve him of whatever medical treatment he's supposed to give. I mean, we all know the Americans and the developed democracies of this world. We see it in the films of us. They are given the very best of treatment. The movies are there for us to evaluate. They are given the very best of treatment. So it has nothing to do with whether he will run a shortage of medical treatment or medical attention. Whatever is supposed to be done for him to stay strong and healthy will be done. I believe in that.
And of course, since this news broke, it has generated a lot of public interest. Have you got any indication from government as to whether or not it also wants to, swoop in and perhaps initiate some deportation processes? Have you got anything at all from government?
I don't speak for government. I'm a lawyer for...
No, but you're a lawyer. I mean, perhaps they might have contacted you. What about the OSP?
No, not yet. No, not yet. The OSP has not contacted us. The Office of the Attorney General has also not contacted us. So we can only at this stage speak to what we know, and that is speaking for Ken Ofori-Atta. Whatever the government has to do in the enabling circumstances, I believe that as this matter is unfolding, I mean, they'll come out with their own case. But for now, whatever we say is limited to Ken Ofori-Atta.
We know, at least from what we've been seeing in the news in the U.S., that the moment you are put in ICE detention center, you are likely to be deported to your country of origin. Is the Ken Ofori-Atta legal team prepared for any eventuality like that?
I'm happy you have used likely, but the circumstances for one to be put in a detention center are separate, distinct, and essentially different from whatever faces a particular individual. Ken Ofori-Atta is not there because he has, as it were, overstayed and is an illegal immigrant. That's the difference. He is not an illegal immigrant. Those who are deported to their country of origin are people who have long overstayed their welcome in the United States of America. This is not the case. He went basically on a medical conference or medical procedure visa, and that visa will lapse on the 14th of February. That is why he has applied through the petition for an extension of his stay and to continue to remain in the United States. So they are significantly different. If that were to be the case, I think Ken Ofori-Atta will have been. Processes for his deportation will have commenced almost immediately. But that is all. His circumstances there are completely different from what others also have.
And how are his immediate family taking this, his wife and children?
What do you think?
I'm asking how his immediate family, the wife and children, how they are taking this news.
And I'm saying, what do you think? They are fine. What else can they do? They are fine. They are fine because they believe in the process and what will come out of it. So we are all keeping our fingers crossed. It is not the best of situations, in any event. If your husband, your father, your uncle, whatever, grandfather, whatever, is in a detention facility, it's not the best of options. But we are fine.
Have you been informed how long your client is going to be kept in the ICE detention center?
It is not an information which comes readily or easily. It is based on a determination of factors. So that is why the petition is pending.
It's based on the determination of who? I didn't get that.
What?
I didn't get that.
I said it depends on the multiplicity of factors and the determination of the petition, which is still pending. But like I said, in the fullness of time, we will all get to know the outcome.
Right,
Frank. We are optimistic, very optimistic.
Right, Frank Davis, thank you very much for your time. He's a member of the legal team of former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. So to help us better understand how U.S. immigration laws apply in such cases, we're joined by Professor Appiah-Atta. He's an expert in international law. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon, Professor Appiah-Atta. Walk us through how this works under U.S. law. Is it automatic that, once a person is detained for U.S. visa violations, they face deportations almost immediately?
Thanks for having me. Yes, you could say that about 90% or more in such situations, the person could face deportation. And but of course, there's also the possibility that based on the investigations and subjecting the person to interviews and questions, it may even happen that he didn't qualify to be arrested and detained in the first place for processing towards deportation at all. So the person can be released. So we need to know more about the facts to be able to determine the fact that the person may be deported or not. But in most cases, in about 90% of the cases, the person is likely to be deported.
And do we know how long he's likely to be kept there?
It depends. It depends on the nature of the case that may be, or the factors that may relate to his arrest and detention. As things stand now, again, the facts are not readily available to put everything together, but the fact that his visa has not expired, but has been arrested and detained may mean that he might have done something else which could have occasioned his arrest and detention. I'm not saying he might have committed anything, but I'm just looking at the U.S. immigration laws, where your visa has not expired, but you may have committed an offense, or you are considered to be a national security threat, and the offenses that may relate to whether the person forged some documents to get into the country, whether the person has defrauded somebody. These are factors which may call for a deportation order, even though you still may have had a visa which is still valid for you to have stayed legally in the country.
We know that his visa expires next month, that is in February. Now, from now until February, we don't know how long he's going to stay in that detention center. But let's assume that he stays in the ICE detention center beyond the expiration date of his visa. What happens to him? Is he likely to be automatically deported?
If the time that he is legally supposed to be in the country expires, he will still be in the facility if he has appealed or questioned the basis for his detention, and therefore the appeal is being reviewed to determine if really he has a case or not. And so that may determine if and how long he might be detained beyond the visa expiration period.
Ken Ofori-Atta, of course, has been declared a fugitive by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Do you think this time presents the best chance for government to probably swoop in and demand for his extradition? Is that possible?
The two issues are different. So we need to look at both of them with different lenses. The extradition request is related to an offense he is alleged to have committed in Ghana. The attempt to cause his deportation to Ghana may be related to something else which he may have done, which connects with the immigration laws of the United States. So the two are different. Having said that, though, often or in some situations, countries that ask for extradition of a fugitive for trial or for imprisonment or for some other purpose in their own country can go through two means. One is the legal process, going to court, which is what the Ghanaian government has done now with respect to Ken Ofori-Atta's case. But there's also the diplomatic channel where the government may speak directly between the two executives of the two countries to arrange for a person to be extradited to face whichever charges that he may have had in his own country. And we don't know if there is any connection here with regard to whether the arrests and possible deportation may be related to any attempt by the U.S. government to use that as a means to bring Ken Ofori-Atta back to face the charges that he's alleged to have committed in Ghana. But as things stand now, on the face of it, based on the facts that we know, the two are unconnected until we're able to gather enough facts to see if there is any linkage between the two.
And our sources also tell us that Ken Ofori-Atta has submitted, processes for permanent residency in the United States. Do you feel that is reason enough for him to say that he really doesn't want to return back to the country? That's why he's seeking that permanent residency status?
Well, that is a personal matter for him to decide. But what the application for the permanent residency will not affect the possibility of his being deported to Ghana. Again, the two the process for that application is different from what the fact that he went there on medical grounds, so he got a visa to go. Now, if he wants to apply for a green card or permanent residency, I think in actual fact, he may have to return to Ghana or go outside the U.S. to do that application. So I don't know what the facts as is being bandied about is true or not, because it may be impossible for him to apply for the permanent residency in the U.S. while he's on a medical or a tourist visa, unless he did that before he went to the U.S., which he did. The two can be done together. I mean, if he had already applied for the permanent residency, because it's not been granted, he can go on a tourist visa. But when he's granted that permanent residence status, he will have to leave the country and enter with that permanent residence status that he has.
Right. Professor Kojo Appiah-Etua, thank you very much. He's a law lecturer at the University of Ghana. Related to this subject, the United States government says the deportation of illegal immigrants from U.S. soil remains a priority for President Donald Trump. Well, the caution comes in the wake of the increasing rhetoric by the U.S. president that the country's migration system is being abused by illegal immigrants to the U.S. Well, news broke in the last 24 hours of the detention A former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, by United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, over visa-related issues. Speaking at an earlier news conference on his first visit to Ghana, Deputy Assistant Secretary for West Africa in the United States Department, William Stevens, noted that President Trump is keen on deporting persons who abuse the immigration laws of the country. The following report has more.
How are you all?
In his first visit to Ghana after assuming his tour of duty as Deputy Assistant Secretary for West Africa, William B. Stevens joined the U.S. Embassy's media roundtable here in Accra that sought to discuss emerging issues of mutual importance. A burning question on the table was about President Trump's policy on immigration.
But broadly, when you say deportations, that's talking about people from Ghana who have been in America who are now being sent back to Ghana. So we're deporting them back home to Ghana. And that is broadly, or any country, right? They've come to our country. They may have violated an immigration law. They've stayed illegally. They may have committed a crime and served their time and now are being sent home because they're no longer have valid status as a non-immigrant in the United States. So that's that. Then you have these people who have come to the United States and have abused the migration system, but have, for some reason or another, an inability to go home to their home country. And that is, and then finally we have and I don't believe this applies in Ghana, but we have people who are coming to the United States to seek refugee status. And essentially, we're asking for some countries around the world to say, well, we know that the United States doesn't have room at the moment for these refugees. Would you be willing to go to? And then we have entered into agreements with countries around the world where people can go as what's called a safe third country agreement, where they can go and say, well, I can't be a refugee in the United States, but perhaps I could go to Malawi. I'm making it up, but and we believe that some people would say, well, actually, I just really wanted to go to the United States. And we have seen President Trump's made it very clear that people have been abusing our migration system for many, many years, to the point where we have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people in the United States illegally. And that's what this is about. It's about the president's priority and why we have focused on it around the world in protecting our borders and enforcing our laws. And we're grateful to our partners who have helped us do that.
Already, authorities in the U.S. have confirmed the detention of Ghana's former finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta, who is being tried in absentia by the special prosecutor. Ghanaians earlier raised questions before Ofori-Atta's detention as to why the U.S. government was unable to immediately extradite the former government official.
We are always open to receiving extradition requests. That is absolutely a firm part of any good bilateral relationship. It's certainly ours. The process of evaluating an extradition request is on the American side is very well established, and it is not generally very quick. And so we receive a request. It goes through the various mechanisms that we have to undertake. But the door is always open for those requests. There's no individual case that can be prejudged because U.S. judges make decisions on.
It is unclear what the future holds for the former finance minister, but what remains is the third state agreement between the government of Ghana and the United States to receive West African deportees from the United States.
Let's talk some politics now. And 118 new Patriotic Party parliamentary candidates from the 2024 elections have declared a sweeping nationwide endorsement of former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, throwing their full political weight behind him ahead of the party's 31st January flag-bearer contest. Addressing the media at the International Press Center in Accra, the group said Dr. Bawumia's proven leadership, bold vision and transformative ideas make him the strongest choice to rebuild the party and drive it back to power with a decisive victory in the 2028 general elections. Here's former MP Ejapa Mensah speaking on behalf of the group.
We shall win to save Ghana.
To support the candidature of His Excellency Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia as flag bearer of our great party, the New Patriotic Party, for the second time at the 31st January 2026 presidential primaries, and subsequently lead a party into the 2028 general elections. Ladies and gentlemen, It is true that some of us of this group have, in their individual capacities, variously supported the candidature of Dr. Bawumia as he prepared for the 2026 primaries. However, we 118 PCs who represented the New Patriotic Party for the 2024 general elections, convinced that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was not the reason nor the cause of our 2024 electoral defeat, as per the various studies conducted by the party's own Professor Michael Kwe committee, highlights of which have been provided by the General Secretary, and also independent institutions such as the Conrad Adenauer Foundation, the New Patriotic Party's own Parliamentary Caucus, the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana, have, after extensive engagement amongst ourselves, and importantly, after engaging our polling station executives, electoral area coordinators, constituency executives, former constituency executives, council of elders and patrons, taking a decision to come together and collectively declare our support for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's candidature for the 2028 presidential elections. This declaration, ladies and gentlemen, following the one earlier made by our 63 compatriots who were victorious in the 2024 parliamentary elections and are today ably representing the party in Parliament, is intended to send a clear message to the grassroots of our party and the good people of Ghana that the majority of their representatives whom they chose to lead the party during the 2024 general elections are strongly united behind the candidature of Dr. Bawumia. We must, at the very outset, state that this decision is not born out of any parochial or self-interest on our part. It has been taken after sober reflection and based on the deep sense of duty to our great party in particular and the future direction of our dear nation, Ghana. We have listened to key stakeholders in our various constituencies, including, as I said, our polling station executives, electoral area coordinators, constituency executives, former constituency executives, council of elders, and patrons. We have also listened to the youth, market women, our farmers and fisherfolk, businessmen and businesswomen, opinion leaders, religious leaders, and traditional authorities. And I've come to the conclusion that there exists broad and overwhelming consensus that Dr. Bawumia is best placed amongst all the eminent personalities who are vying for the flag-bearing position of our party to lead our great party into the 2028 general elections. The greater majority of well-meaning Ghanaians are looking to us, delegates, to do just that. Dr. Bawumia has proven himself to be a visionary leader with a track record of competence, integrity, and commitment to Ghana's development. His experience as vice president, coupled with his policy initiatives and innovative ideas, makes him the ideal candidate to lead the NPP to victory in 2028. His exceptional leadership qualities demonstrated during his tenure as vice president, his technical expertise in economics and finance, his commitment to Ghana's digital transformation and good governance, his compassion and empathy for the Ghanaian people are key qualities that make Dr. Bawumia an ideal leader of our party at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that Dr. Bawumia's leadership will be a game changer for Ghana, hence our decision to support his candidature. By so doing, we are committed to working with him in whatever capacity to achieve a brighter future for our dear country, Ghana. In essence, whether some of us here intend to seek the mandate of our constituents in the yet-to-be-organized parliamentary primaries as part of the party's preparation towards the 2028 general elections or not is immaterial. Indeed, our personal ambitions have no bearing whatsoever to our collective resolve to support His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the upcoming presidential primaries. Please be assured that none of us has been induced, compelled, or cajoled, nor railroaded into taking this position that we are making public today. Any suggestion of inducement, as is often bandied about when declarations of this nature are made, should be roundly dismissed. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not in doubt that Dr. Bawumia has been the most consequential vice president so far in the Fourth Republic. That, regardless of his limited constitutionally defined role of assisting the president in the execution of his mandate to the people of Ghana, Dr. Bawumia, with the consent and concurrence of his and our boss, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, personally championed the implementation of several notable policy initiatives and achievements. These include, but are not limited to, championing Ghana's digital transformation, introducing initiatives such as the Ghana Card, mobile money interoperability, and digitalizing public records.
All right, let's get more on this, and joining me this afternoon is the spokesperson for the Kennedy Japan campaign team, Kwesi Kwarteng. Glad you could join me this afternoon. First, it was some certain MPs who declared their support for Dr. Bawumia, and now it is over 110 parliamentary candidates in the just concluded elections in 2024 who are declaring their support for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Surely this must be a blow to your camp.
Oh, how? How can this be a blow to our camp? The said endorsement just demonstrates how failing and weak the Dr. Bawumia campaign has become. Because how can a campaign which just 2 years ago, roughly 2 years ago, that enjoyed the full support of almost 137 MPs, almost 6,000 government appointees, almost all the 276 MMDCs now be peddling and now being showing how their mind is by proving to us that they have just 118 parliamentary candidates. I mean, if they indeed had a stronger campaign, I'm not sure that is the cosmetic showmanship that they would endeavor to show us. But you see, for us, every campaign is benchmarked on its own strategy. The strategy of the King's campaign is to move to the polling station executives, the over 209,000 polling station executives, and appeal to them and solicit for their votes. We believe that the sovereignty resides in them. I mean, sometimes I tend to wonder whether or not indeed the Bawumia campaign, of course, the management of the Bawumia campaign, I don't know how they take the polling station executives to be, because it appears as though all their hopes has always been at the top hierarchy, either MPs, either MMDs, or PCs who they believe that can shape the polling station executives to align in their direction. But that is not our focus. We believe that the polling station executives are discerning. They are currently aware of the current status of our party. They know that even in Jarapa, where Dr. Bawumia said he aligns and has a connection to Dombo, they are very much aware that even in Jarapa, Dr. Bawumia had 14%, whilst Dr. Mahama had 85%. And so they are poised for change. They are aware that out of the 276 constituencies, Bawumia performed poorly to the extent that 199 constituencies he lost. They are also aware that out of 7 regions in Ghana, Dr. Bawumia did not win a single constituency. And of course, I mean, if you look at the endorsement, the PCs or former PCs tried to whitewash him and try to shift blame as though his candidature did not cause us our defeat. But interestingly, the records do not support that. If you are minded, in the last election, close to 350,000 of our party supporters came to vote for our PCs and voted against Dr. Bawumia. 99% of our PCs outperformed him. So this attempt to whitewash him by these political astroturfing and cosmetic showmanship will not wash. At the end of the day, which is the 31st, which is the D-Day, the judgment day, they will be exposed. And the good people of our party, the over 209,000 police station executive, will speak stronger, will speak mightier, and they will endorse the candidate of the people. And so we are not perturbed. I mean, if indeed these pieces are that influential and that strong, I'm not sure they would have even lost their seat in the first place. They all lost their seat. They are just they just want to have an insurance in Dr. Bawumia so that they will have the opportunity to once again contest. But that will obviously fail because at the end of the day, the polling station executives, over 209,000 of them, who the sovereignty resides in them, will speak a language of the people, and that will be the language of God, and that will be a true and proper endorsement of Kennedy Japan on the 31st of January.
Kwesi, don't go yet. Let me bring in Dr. Ikuya. He's the deputy spokesperson for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Dr. Ikuya, glad you could join me this afternoon. You've been listening to Kwesi Kwatin, your colleague on the other side, saying that this new endorsement means absolutely nothing and that the D-Day will decide. Is that something you agree with him?
I'm not surprised that he's saying it means nothing. He's struggling to get even an endorsement of up to 10 MPs or parliamentary candidates. So I'm not surprised that he's rubbishing something that is obviously so huge. This would mean that if you add the 118 to the 68 or so MPs that endorsed His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, it is very clear that the representatives of the constituencies at the top, which would be the parliamentary candidates or the members of parliament, about 90% of them believe in the vision and the good character of His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. They believe that indeed he's not the reason that the MPP lost. They believe that if the party continues on the path that we are and we take the person with the best vision, he's going to be able to win in 2028. They believe that so many things have already happened this year that vindicates the position of His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Recently, I think I was having a conversation with you about how shockingly even the national communication officer of the NDC, in an attempt to buy himself some relief with the gold board matters, had to then come and sit down and explain clearly how His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, through the Bank of Ghana, started the gold for reserve policy, which is now shown to have brought some stability to our economy. So those who have eyes and want to see can see that the writings are on the wall. So I would have expected that by this time, the tone from the other side will be one that is more uniting, one that does not continue to bring more problems for the party, one that will make it easy for us to all come back together on the last day of this month. Now, the election is not so far. It is on the last day of January. And the writings are clearly on the wall. So I'm not surprised by what he's saying. But just to correct something, because he seems to have, I don't know if it's his jealousy or pettiness, but he seems to really be bothered by the endorsement of the Dombo family for His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. If a family or a tradition in the party endorse a candidate, it's by no way saying that it's the whole town of Jirapa that has endorsed the candidate. Or does that confuse you as well? I don't believe so. It is very clear. The endorsement came from the family and stalwarts of the Dombo tradition. The MPP has never, and that's an onerous, that's a blot on the conscience of the party. It's something that we have to work on, that I believe that under the leadership of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the unifier, the one who is campaigning on unity and not divisive tribal and religious rhetoric, will be able to help us improve our figures there. Since 1992, the MPP has never been able to win in Jirapa. So suddenly Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia comes and gets the endorsement of the Dombo family, and you expect some magic to have happened in Jirapa. This is really neither here nor there, my brother Kwesi Kwatin. But for us, you see, Everything we continue to do has always been focused and surgical on getting our message to the delegates. It has been focused and surgical on bringing back the love of the party. It's been focused and surgical on trying to unite the party base. There are several constituencies that we went to in the Greater Accra region where, for one or two reasons, there have been some, like a split at the top, maybe a former PC and the current, and so the party structure there is split. Even before His Excellency has been given the nod as flag bearer, he has been able to fix a lot of these problems. Ablikuma North, just to give an example, Trobu constituency was the last constituency we went to in Greater Accra. Again, he's also been able to unite the party. So if you look at the campaigns that are going on, one is very different. We are focused on the task, only, trying to make MPP better, while the others are busy trying to pull down His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, because clearly he's the one to beat. Clearly the writings are on the wall. If you have the leaders of about 90% of the constituency thinking that the best person to lead us to victory in 2028 is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, it's by no way a small thing. And let me just remind my good friend, Kwesi Kwarteng, that it is not just the parliamentary candidates, it is not just the MPs. In Greater Accra region, for example, about 450 electoral area coordinators also endorsed His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, because I'm sure they've seen with great disgust how somebody wants to claim the tag of a supposed grassroots champion. So they also came out boldly to dispel that fact, that indeed the grassroots is also firmly, strongly behind the man with vision, the man with the character, the man who is not preaching divisiveness, the man who is preaching unity, and the man who most Ghanaians know is best fit to lead the MPP and Ghana to progress.
Right. Dr. Kuyamwako, thank you very much. Kwesi Kwarteng, you've been listening to Dr. Kuyamwako. She says you appear to be jealous of the numerous waves of endorsements that are coming the way of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's camp. Is that really the case? Are you jealous of those endorsements?
I think that is a childish remarks. That if we are having a conversation at a level like this, one will describe an opposition or disagreement or translate that into jealousy. I feel it's a childish description. Politics has always been a game of strategy. They have their strategy, we have ours. What we believe is that what they are doing amounts to political astroturfing and needless cosmetic showmanship. And indeed, they did the same thing during the 2024 general election, where the candidate Bawumia then focused on passing people to rallies just to demonstrate how strong he was. Mahama questioned us, but we did not listen. At the end of the day, as a party, we suffered the worst defeat that we have ever suffered in the history of our country. Again, you made a point about Dumbo. You cannot lay a claim on home advantage, and later when the outcome does not support you, you don't want to be held accountable. You said you are going to bring Dumbo votes. At the end of the day, Dumbo votes that you said there is a certain ancestral lineage to you. You pull 14% and Mahama pull 85%. You don't want us to talk about it. We will remind you of that data. Kenneth, our point is that by 31st, everything will come to bear. And it will be all of us will know whether or not this were cosmetic showmanship or it amounted to astroturfing or not. Sometimes I feel that the Bawumia camp takes the polling station executives for granted. And I am tended to believe, of course, and now siding with the school of thought, that they do not respect the polling station executives, the conscience of the polling station executives. Other than that, how on earth do you believe that a parliamentary candidate is the person that is going to command the polling station executives to vote in your favor, instead of rather going to the polling station executive out of respect to appeal for their vote? So it's a matter of strategy. We will get to the polling station executives, appeal to them, and hope that by the grace of God on the 31st, they will change the leadership of the party. We do not want a weak leadership going into 2028. We want a strong person to face the NDC so that we'll be able to rescue power for the MPP.
Thank you very much. Chrissy Kwatin is the spokesperson for the Kennedy Japan campaign team. And earlier we heard Dr. Ikuya Mwako, who is the deputy spokesperson for former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Let's talk education now, because the Ministry of Education has dismissed claims by the National Union of Ghana Students, NUGS. The students have been excluded from the newly inaugurated Ghana Scholarships Authority Board, insisting students are duly represented. Education Minister Haruna Idrisu inaugurated the board during the passage of Act 1149, approved by President John Mahama, which strengthens the authority's mandate and places scholarship awards firmly under its control. NUGS, however, has condemned the inauguration, describing the absence of direct student representation as a breach of democratic governance. In a statement on Thursday, the union stated that students are central stakeholders and the exclusion undermines the board's legitimacy, fairness and accountability. NUGS President Rashid Ibrahim says students are, quote, the core purpose of the scholarships framework, and warned that the board risks being disconnected from student realities. But the Education Ministry has rejected the claims, clarifying that student interests are represented on the board through civil society organizations. And here are excerpts of that particular press statement released by the Education Ministry, and it says through this inclusive process, it was concluded that civil society organizations will be the umbrella body of the governing body. Accordingly, the National Union of Ghana Students, NUGS, is rightfully represented on the board in accordance with the provisions of the law. It concludes by saying the Ministry of Education remains firmly committed to transparency, inclusiveness and collaborative governance in the management and development of Ghana's education sector. The Education Ministry says it values the constructive contributions of all stakeholders and look forward to continued partnership in advancing quality and accessible education for all Guineans. Let's get some reactions from the NUGS leadership and go on to Zoom right now and speak to the national president of NUGS, Ibrahim Rashid. Rashid, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. This clarification from the Ministry of Education should certainly end the matter, shouldn't it?
No, please. It's can certainly not end the matter.
Why is that?
Okay. Thank you so much for this opportunity. We at NUGS value strategic partnership. We value the fact that we must have stakeholders engagement on anything that concerns students in Ghana, particularly with regards to scholarship. Scholarship is something that is very important to students, and the students are the direct beneficiaries of scholarship. So if you are constituting a board that would set standard, a board that will administer scholarship in this country, I think it is right that you include students in the governing board of the scholarship board, in the scholarship. Why do I say that? I think prior to the promulgation of this enactment, that is the Scholarship Authority Act, before it became an act, somewhere last year, middle of last year, it came very topical that there's no student representation on the board. This made my predecessor release statement actually describing how unpleasant the situation is to the Ghanaian students. In fact, the Minister of Education acted on it. They actually suspended the passage of the bill into an act for broader consultation. They went into a stakeholders consultation. It is there that it was agreed that there will be a student representation on the board. And fast forward, this act has been passed, but still remains that there's no student representation on the act. Unlike what precedents in the education governance says, if you look at this Get Fund Act, it is clearly stated expressly that NUGS, or there must be a student representation duly nominated by NUGS or the Polytechnic Student Association of Ghana. So if today we are inaugurating a board that will oversee to administer scholarship in this country to the very students who matters, why can't we include students? And if you look into the act, there's nothing like student representation. So this statement they've released is not an answer to the demands we have requested in our release.
Right.
We actually want engagement again with the minister and all people who matter in the education value chain for us to find a lasting solution to this problem.
Right. Rashid, I want to refer to the statement once again, and it says that during the establishment of this scholarship authority, NUCS was one of the consultation or consultative bodies, and that you and civil society organizations were consulted. Now, the third paragraph says it was then concluded that civil society organizations will be the umbrella body on the governing board. So accordingly, NUCS is rightfully represented on the board in accordance with the provisions of the law. Is this something that you agreed with during the consultative stage of the formation of this authority?
Okay, thank you. I was not the one who participated in this consultative meeting that you're talking about. It's my predecessor who participated. I reached out to him whether there was any form of agreement of this nature. In fact, he denied that there was no any form of this agreement. But I want to even ask, if you generalize everything that there must be a CSO and you actually put NUCS under that umbrella, that the NUCS should be recognized as a CSO, we have CSOs who are into dealing with a lot of things. You can have a CEO like a CSO. Let's take GBA. If you want an association to speak on journalism in Ghana, whom do you call on? You call on GBA, Ghana Journalists as a GJA, right? If you want an association that can speak on lawyers' welfare and everything, it is a Ghana Bar Association that you call. But if you want to speak on scholarship, something that borders on students. Students are the direct beneficiaries. Scholarships are not administered to market women. Scholarships are not administered to farmers. Scholarships are administered to students. And you are saying that a NUCS should be under the umbrella of CSO. I think it is not the right thing. If you look at Get Fund, an act that was passed somewhere around the year 2000, NUCS was expressly stated that they must have a member, they must have a rep on their board, so that whatever they are doing, let me just make this general statement. Right. Assuming students want to make a submission, can the student even call on the minister? No, he cannot call on the president. But if we have a student there, the student can just pick a call the rep on that. This is how the scholarships have been administered. I don't want it to go this way.
But Rashid, the same thing can be done through the CSOs. And by the way, what is your next line of action? What are you going to do from here?
Okay, thank you. The same thing cannot be done by the CSO. As I clarified earlier, that if you want a CSO that's actually fight for the interests of Ghanaians, it should be National Union of Ghana Students or maybe any rep of student.
Okay.
But it's not that you don't generalize it to say that NUCS should be under the umbrella of CSO. We are not part of those ones. We are representing the students, and we must have a rep on the Scholarship Authority Board. So on our next action, after this release, we intend to either petition office of the president, the minister of state, or maybe a speaker of parliament to see how we can find an amicable resolution to this. But in the alternative, if you look at some of our demands, we demand that the Scholarship Authority Act must be amended under a certificate of agency, or better still, the president has the power to make an appointment, about 3 of them. The president can revoke one appointment, and in the alternative or in the short run, nominate a student rep on the board.
Okay.
So that whilst we are dealing with amending the act, we can also have a rep to have a say in whatever goes on in the Scholarship Authority Board. Yes.
Right. Rashid Ibrahim, thank you very much. He's the president of the National Union of Ghana Students, NUCS. Away from that, the Cadet District Court in the Eastern Region has remanded 5 persons in connection with the assault of Michael Quayson, a teacher at Cadet Senior High Technical School. Well, the accused persons appeared in court on Wednesday, January 7th, where 4 of them, all adults, were remanded into police custody after pleading guilty. The 5th accused, a 17-year-old juvenile, was remanded into police custody. The court ordered that all 5 accused persons reappear on January 20th. The juvenile's case will be handled separately by the juvenile court in line with legal procedures. Well, family members and some of the accused persons were visibly emotional as they were escorted into the police vehicle and driven away after the court proceedings. The assault, which sparked public concern, is being treated as a serious offense as investigations continue. But concerns are emerging over the way the issue has been handled, to the extent that it took the president to intervene for a criminal act like that to receive attention. Let's get some clarity on that and bring in the Ghana Education Service. The spokesperson is Daniel Fenyi. Thank you very much, Daniel, for your time this afternoon. Do you agree with those who say that the Ghana Education Service did not take this issue seriously until the president himself addressed it?
Yes, indeed. Let me thank you for the opportunity. And let me indicate that the Ghana Education Service is an agency that works with and for the government. We work closely with the government, and so if at any point in time the president expresses strong interest in a particular matter and follows up very keenly on that matter, and the Ghana Education Service also works closely to bring some finality to the matter, there's no point for controversy at all. The two institutions, the president or the presidency and the Ghana Education Service, work in tandem. The whole goal is to ensure that the welfare of the teachers, the safety of our teachers, is protected. What do our teachers do? They help our learners. They groom them, they train them, they teach them. And so the last thing you would expect from a learner or a student is to beat or assault the teacher when they are only going about their job or their duty, trying to groom the next generation. And so, yes, I should confirm to you that the president has followed the issue very keenly and has expressed very strong concerns on this. And the Director General of the Ghana Education Service has also shown extreme interest in the matter. And from day one, we have engaged all the stakeholders, from the Regional Director of Education to the teacher himself who was assaulted, family members of these students. There have been conversations right from day one when the matter came out. We have had discussions, and the Director General has indicated strongly and made sure that the Ghana Police Service and the legal systems will take over the issue. And it was yesterday that they were brought to court. They have been remanded. So for us as Ghana Education Service, we don't see any point of divergence at all from the Ghana Education Service or with the Ghana Education Service and the president. We don't see any point of divergence at all. We are working together, working closely. And in fact, the Ministry of Education, the Honorable Minister has also expressed very strong dissatisfaction about the conduct of the students. And so the three teams or the three bodies are working closely together to ensure that no teacher is assaulted or harmed in line or in the course of discharging their duties. Yes.
And the man at the center of it all, the teacher who was unfortunately beaten, according to President John Dramani Mahama, took some money and decided to settle this case out of court. Is that something that worries the Ghana Education Service?
It does. In fact, on the first day of our meeting, Director General himself was quite disappointed that for a serious matter as that, the teacher would settle the matter out of court. We were not excited about that development. We thought that the teacher should have drawn the attention of management so that management takes it up. Because for some of these things, we don't take it up only because we want to punish the student who conducted the act, but we also want to deter others from conducting the same or similar act. And so we didn't consider it expedient at all that the teacher would settle the matter out of court. So when it came to our attention, in fact, that's the more reason they didn't report to us. Management got to know of this issue when it came out on social media, and that is where we took it up. And for us, we were not very happy when per our investigations, we realized the teacher didn't want the matter to proceed to court. But thankfully, the state itself has taken over, because for us, it is not an attack on an individual teacher, is an attack on the profession. And we believe that the entire profession should not be happy about the development, and the entire profession, I mean the entire teaching profession, should show strong disagreement to what happened, for which reason the state itself took over the issue. Yes.
And Daniel, has the Ghana Education Service gotten in touch with the man ever since?
Yes, I mean, we are closely in touch with, in fact, even in the processes of the court, taking the matter through court and everything, GES was there throughout. I mean, our reps, so i.e. regional directorate, district directorate, and even at the national level too, we have been part and parcel of the entire process. So yes, we are in touch with the teacher himself. Okay. We are in touch with the school, the district, making sure that everything goes very.
Daniel Fenyi speaks for the Ghana Education Service. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon, Daniel. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more stories. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Pulse. Let's head to Parliament now, because the minority in the House is standing firm in its call for accountability over the trading losses for the Gold for Reserves program, describing Gold Board and the Bank of Ghana as masters of financial misdirection following reported losses of $214 million. The International Monetary Fund, in its fifth review of Ghana's program, disclosed that the Bank of Ghana recorded losses linked to the Gold for Reserves initiative. Addressing a press conference in Parliament earlier, Deputy Minority Leader Patricia Appiagyei accused the government of deliberately shielding the program from public scrutiny.
The program, as we designed and implemented it, did not lose $214 million in 9 months. So what changed? The government and the people running the program. When President Mahama returned to power, he inherited a functioning program. He politicized it. He expanded it recklessly. He placed it in unprepared and potentially conflict hands, and the result speaks for itself. The Gold Board and the Bank of Ghana, masters of financial misdirection. The IMF, in just 9 months, has documented losses of $214 as a result of the operations of Gold Board and Bank of Ghana. Gold Board and Bank of Ghana has responded. On 3rd January 2026, he emphatically denied that Gold Board made any losses. The governor, or the CEO of Gold Board, generated over $960 million in revenue against 120 million Ghana cedis in expenditure, promising a surplus of 700 to 800 million cedis. These are bold claims, but they do not address the core issue raised in the IMF report.
So that's the Deputy Minority Leader, Patricia Appiagyei, who further stated that the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Johnson Esiama, must account for the central bank's supervisory role in the transactions that led to the losses.
Governor of Bank of Ghana must also answer serious questions. The governor was elevated by President Mahama, and before the elevation, he was one of the beneficiaries of the Attorney General's knowledge protocol. He faced charges for his previous role at the central bank. Those charges are discontinued through knowledge protocol, and then he was elevated to governor. He faced The institution that funds the Gold for Reserves program, the institution whose balance sheet bears the $214 million loss, the institution that should have provided rigorous oversight. Under governor's watch, these losses occurred. Excessive fees were allowed. Trading losses mounted. Controls failed. And when the IMF exposed these losses, the Bank of Ghana issued press release dismissing the IMF's concern defense instead of scrutiny.
Away from Parliament, President John Mahama has revealed that the personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service who attacked a Class FM journalist have been identified and interdicted as investigations into the incident continue. Speaking during a visit to the state broadcaster GBC, President Mahama condemned the attack, stressing that such actions will not be tolerated in a democratic society.
For your office, and of course, who speaks on behalf of the media, has condemned this particular attacking from the fire service. Your Excellency, your take on the attacks on journalists?
Oh, well, my views on that are known. I'm a journalist by training, and so there's no way we'll countenance, the continued assault on journalists. So we've been in touch with the Ghana Journalists Association on these issues. We put them in touch with the security services. We need a reorientation of many of our security personnel to understand that just as they're doing their job of providing peace and safety, journalists are also doing their job of informing the people as to what is happening. So they are not antagonistic to each other. Indeed, they are both serving the same public. Yeah, so we're working on it. But occasionally these things will come up. But when they come, they must be dealt with, as firmly as possible. The Minister of Government Communication has taken it up. I think the officers have been identified, they've been interdicted, and an investigation is ongoing. But we won't countenance assault on journalists. Yeah.
The government has set the end of the year as the new deadline to complete the long-stalled Ghana Atomic Energy Commission Foundry project, which has been stuck at about 90% completion for several years. During a working visit to the facility, the acting Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, Emmanuel Amakofibua, described the project as critical to Ghana's industrial transformation and assured management that the 68 million Ghana cedis required to complete outstanding works and make the foundry fully operationalized will be released.
The facility was conceived to manufacture spare parts, nuts, and precision instruments to serve critical sectors, including agriculture, oil and gas, and the automotive industry, positioning it as a key pillar in Ghana's industrial value chain.
Industrializing Ghana. Yes. So it was funded by MoneyGram, and they brought in Ghanaian engineers from US, from Europe, and we sat down to brainstorm. And from our side, we said no country can develop without a foundry. Foundry is the nursery. So you get the basics from the foundry.
You teach people the simple tools.
Yeah, and you manufacture the components.
The components, yeah.
Then you can machine and build them into machines. So it was Prof agreed and assigned us to design a foundry for the country.
However, the ambitious project has remained stalled at about 90% completion. Project consultant Edwin Robert Phillips explains that the project was designed with an initial production capacity of 100 tons per month on a single shift, with plans to scale up to 3 shifts at a full operation.
So we designed this foundry with a production capacity of 100 tons of castings per month on 1 shift. We can't start on 3 shifts, but we can ramp up to 3 shifts. And when we ramp up to 3 shifts, we'll be doing 400 tons a month. And we are producing 2 metals, cast iron and spherical graphite cast iron. Spherical graphite cast iron came out of a development of the cast iron where formerly we were using steel. So now crankshafts of cars are made from that one, and it's easy to produce.
During a working visit, Acting Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boa, described the project as magnificent and critical to the country's industrialization drive. He assured management that government is committed to ensuring the facility is fully completed and operational by the end of the year.
Very magnificent project. The Foundry is critical to our industrial transformation, and so we need to do everything possible to make it functional. Luckily, we still have received some of the equipment. We must go back to the drawing board, understand what are the outstanding issues, what equipments are left to be brought, how much is needed to basically make it functional. We need to do that.
Expecting the project to start to
make some progress this year, and I'm determined to do that.
Reporting for JoyNews, I am Collins Frimpong.
Let's head back to Parliament, where the minority in the House says the recent economic gains under President John Mahama are largely the result of International Monetary Fund conditions and foundations laid by the previous government, rather than new policy initiatives. This comes on the back of the anniversary of President John Mahama's 1 year in office. Dr. Tia Mahama Abdul Kabiru, who is a member of Parliament's Finance Committee and also MP for Wale Wale, insists the Mahama-led administration is benefiting from policies already set in motion before its term even began.
As we give credit, let us not create a sense that this is the first time in the government's first year in office that we are having this kind of results. As a matter of fact, the euphoria around the 2017 budget and the outcome of that budget, with the greatest respect, it was far even more than what we are experiencing. So approval rating for the president at the end of his first tenure by Afrobarometer was 70%. Here we're having 67%. That notwithstanding, I cannot want to diminish the impact, the growth, the macroeconomic stability, the price stability that we're experiencing. And if anyone wants to say that anything has contributed to this, without first acknowledging the IMF-supported program we are, which has served as anchor, which is guide, which is a big man in the House.
But speaking on JoyNews' PM Express, Imani Africa President Franklin Kujo offered a contrasting view, arguing that early signs from the Mahama administration show discipline, restraint, and guided leadership, which he believes are driving public goodwill and renewed market confidence.
We should give credit to the fact that the pair of funds that the NDC has put together, from the presidency to, what's his name, at the force, gives you a certain sense that, look, things are being organized properly. And so for me, look, I seriously think this path is good. The problem is about sustainability.
Meanwhile, the business community is cautioning against anything. Traders and business leaders say the government must maintain foreign exchange stability while urgently reducing lending rates. Clement Boateng is president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA.
I can say to a large extent, the president has, delivered on it. What is left now is to build on it and then try as much as possible to sustain it. Even though the policy rate is currently at 18%, I think it is not having so much influence as far as lending rate is concerned. And the governor has come out to say that he is going to try as much as possible to work assiduously so that by the time he will leave office, lending rate will be of a single digit. And I think he must be commended for that. If he's able, to achieve that, businesses can then borrow at a very moderate lending rate and then expand their businesses for them to be able to, create more employment.
Meanwhile, member of Parliament's Finance Committee and MP for Sanerugu, Atta Issa says significant challenges persist beneath the surface, despite confidence expressed by the IMF and sections of civil society.
The IMF put it right when they analyzed the 2025 budget in the fourth review, where the IMF stated that government has done 89% budget execution. And if you know, budget simple refers to the program activities and how it is financed. So for an IMF and the East Fort review to say that as of September, government had achieved 89% of the promise or the budget execution rate. To that end, I think that President Mahama has done well generally. However, like this is an emerging economy. It is not without challenges, and some of these structural issues are still pertinent.
On Accra's Akraman-Ashalaja Amasaman route, drivers like Stephen Kumi wake up every day chasing a simple dream to earn an honest living. Instead, they're forced to battle deep potholes and frequent breakdowns. Kumi's work and pay vehicle is slowly failing, and he is not alone. Drivers and residents who ply this route say the poor road network is turning daily travel into a nightmare. In the first episode of our feature series, Roads of Peril, my colleague Pearl Ofori focuses on the poor road network in some communities in the Amasaman constituency.
It's dusty, uneven, and almost impassable. This is the Amasaman constituency, where large stretches of road remain untarred and have been in this state for years. I meet Stephen Kumi, a driver who has plied this route for a decade, and he says every trip is a painful experience. The 50-year-old native of Asaman Kese once hoped to become a teacher, but a lack of funds forced him to abandon school. He later trained as a mechanic before eventually becoming a driver. While he loves his job, the condition of the roads has turned every trip into a struggle.
Since from inception, this road has not seen a major transformation or something. It's very, very bad. In the election time, they will come and grade for us. Yes. After that, nobody will come here again. They will pack their tools after election. It's unfortunate. We are pleading with government and our MP, Mr. Senyo, come and look this road for us. From Amasaman to Obom, Amasaman has so many villages. So many villages. This place
Kumi is not alone. Drivers here share similar experiences.
The human rights cancer, me a local secretary. Na ekwa we ya bon ya demonstrations sa ya demo ya bre. It is here. See no ya adwin say because say edu campaign tema no maba. Ma dada ya na ye di omochi. Is there ever yan wadwin. See the kwa na say kura hwe ka vuro mi kura hwe. Asenya mo nyina say. Ampa o asenya mo nyina say. Is me dua bia fa manya sika akoto. Pastor no. Just here, the quantity to frank, a quantity. I say, cast a bit of a shop. Call animal crowd once a can be so. I say, it's a quantity.
We drive through Amasaman 3 Junction, Ashalaja, Ayikai Doblo, Akraman, and Doblo Gono. The vehicle wobbles constantly as we ply the uneven terrain. It takes a great deal of patience and skill to maneuver through this corridor. Vehicle breakdowns are a common sight in these communities. Drivers say more than a dozen break down every week.
Melodufre Amasamai to Akraman. Mr. Shasha in Deka Nam Quine Zukra 1 week from Menya. In fact, Manu who crossed him in Nam Quine also. Madame Sonam Hunam Nara Mea. Nancy no Mabitra Quines and Mabitras no Crano. Still none in Sunas out on Gassaseno. In Sugas out of cry, declared the cry, and your cry. Naman Sia Taquinos, none will be dear cry, can't be grand Jabos and Shell Jabos and Mamma, Jabos and Crassay. In fact, where the Evesre in Penifona, Omoya no Mama Boyana, Quano Moya Quano Mai. Ye ban kwa school for no muko complain kura say kwan enyo ombe faka ombe bombe kofi no na huna munyina yo mu ya ombe ko base dam no dam yansa no na omabre.
Former Assembly member for Ukushi-Biade, Daniel Kwabna Ampong, says all efforts to draw attention to the deplorable state of the roads during his tenure failed to yield any results.
I've done most of the demonstrations in this place, call people, goes to major institutions to make sure this road will be constructed, but yet still, I think they don't care, they don't mind. But I hope the government has changed, so we're really championing that the government will look back.
With sections of the Amasaman portion of the Accra-Kumasi Highway still incomplete, heavy-duty trucks diverting through the communities have worsened the situation.
Ahaye Dobrogono. Na Dobrogono no ye kwan we me ba kwan we so 2004. Na ente kwan ente sei. Ba beduru ba bi kwan no ye hwe kwan se de kwan se tie a. Enanti ho aka ho asem a omufie. Titem bia every present day ye ko shop se me ni wo kase kura na a mo ye me interview me ni wo kase. Me fi shop na be. Makwa boso kan aba beduru ha. Akose almost 3000 me nsem. And sustain a de bechi no mesan ko shop bio. Tem bia ko fe lie isan ho a inipa ko hun tokwa ore kura be ho. Adenti.
Like drivers, traders are also feeling the brunt of the poor road conditions. Ifwa Santoa, a petty trader, explains that accessing reliable transport for her goods is a constant struggle.
Kwane de ye brepa ye kokrom kura ye nyaka mafi. Kwana say ye brepa papa nti ama ye lole fe no kura ne boy din.
About 100 meters from the Ashalaja Bridge, I meet Janet Inkum. On her own initiative, she fills deep potholes with sand, offering a temporary relief to drivers, commuters and residents who use the stretch every day.
Obia support me that. Obia support me that. Me to be renting house move. Sebi drivers ya. Ebi obi twemu 1 cedi. Obi twemu 5 cedis. Obi ono twemu no hwe eduma na me ye no na eye ne fa. Ebi ono ama 20 cedis. Enu ana me boaboa no kakra ama pe bia sasa.
Before leaving, I asked Janet if I could help with the work. Of course, without taking a peswa. Ganwa's Municipal Chief Executive, John Desmond Soanai, admits that the state of roads in many communities is a cause for concern, but assures residents that measures are being put in place to address the problem.
Ganwas, as a municipality, we are also making efforts to reshape some of the roads by using the drip equipment. But reshaping is not a solution, because when you reshape the road and it rains, it becomes worse. And the more you reshape, it means that you are taking off the surface soil and it's going down. And when you reshape, it makes it easier for the surface to be eroded. But for the networks that we've talked about, the road network we talk about, if these roads are considered, because these are major roads, and this connect to other municipalities. So therefore, it makes Accra central and easily commutable. It means that we are diverting traffic if you want to go to Kumasi. So this is not just for farming purposes. It's also a measure to urbanize the other areas to ease the pressure on Accra.
Back in the communities, drivers like Stephen Kumi say their request is simple.
It's a manhole, madam.
This is a manhole.
It's a manhole.
Decent roads that reduce breakdowns and restore dignity to daily travel. For JoyNews, I am Detains Ofori-Atta.
And government will not be issuing a white paper on the ongoing constitutional review process. The Minister for Education, Harun Idrisu, has explained that the H. Kwesi Prempeh constitutional review process was not set up under Article 278 like the previous constitutional review process, which would have allowed for the government to issue a white paper on it. He was speaking to the media at the Thanksgiving service of President Mahama's first day in office.
but he will reset the country, and he will take the country through legal, administrative, and constitutional reforms and review process to strengthen and deliver our public institutions, the organs of government, in order that he can improve the delivery of the public goods. But it's important that you, the media, appreciate that the constitutional review process which was set up under the Prempeh Committee is not the same as the constitutional review established under Article 278 of the 1992 Constitution by President J.E.A. Mills. So currently, there's a team of crack lawyers who are reviewing the report that was submitted to Excellency John Dramani Mahama. After that scrupulous scrutiny, it will be subject to cabinet, party, political party, and public engagement. And as the President rightly announced yesterday, there will be a constitutional review implementation committee which will walk through the process of entrenched and non-entrenched provisions. So those of you who expected that a white paper will be issued, you got it very, very wrong. This constitutional review led by Prempeh and Co. was not established within the true meaning of Article 278 of the Constitution. So no white paper will be issued in that respect.
A former Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dakwa Newman, is charging district assemblies to insist designs for structures are disability-friendly before issuing building permits. She made the call during her annual celebration with persons with disabilities at the Ghana Society for the Socially Disadvantaged. According to her, enforcing these laws is mandatory and crucial to ensuring the full integration of persons with disabilities into society. JoyNews' Mavis Kubuko and Nancy Kumson's report read to you.
Former Minister for Gender, Dakwa Newman, graced the Ghana Society for Socially Disadvantaged for her annual meetup with persons with disabilities.
Just to spend time with them. But as I spent time with them, I realized they like to dance a lot. So it became more of a party where we can all dance, we all eat.
Which she said that most of the persons at the institution were fit enough to be in normal schools with little assistance and called for integration rather than isolation.
But the question is, they need some assistance. Who is going to provide it? There has to be ways that the government can also come in to ensure that even in classes, there are shadow teachers that can support those who need some extra help. There's no need why there should be a home just for persons with disability, especially when they can thrive in a normal society. When it comes to the laws exist. People building, they know they are supposed to make their buildings accessible to persons with disability. But unfortunately, a lot of these buildings that are being built, even as of 2026, do not have bathrooms that are persons with disability friendly, or they do not have ramps that creates an entry for persons with disability. Somebody in a wheelchair cannot climb a flight of stairs. We all know this. And so these are basics that we have to do to make persons with disability feel more like they're part of the society. The municipals, as they inspect these buildings and they provide them permits and they give them clearance, they need to ensure that the right thing has been done.
During the former minister's donation, she recognized the best students in various departments. The administrator of the institution also spoke about their skills development initiative.
Socially disadvantaged, you never go in vain or you never be useless, because we do monitoring, we do the social workers here, we do follow up. We make sure those people who comes here and learn the train very well, the churches that they belong to, they establish them. And then we also see to it that what they've learned here is being used of a good use, or is of beneficiary to them.
The overall best student in the fashion department, Victoria Mate, also shared how the institution changed her perception about her disability and gave her hope that disability isn't inability.
Because of my condition and my situation. Some don't see this disability as soon as they see you as a disabled person, what comes to their mind is that you have no use, you are useless. But with this help and the school, we are getting a whole lot.
And calls for greater social support for widows and other vulnerable groups have intensified as many widows say the loss of a spouse comes with a struggle to provide basic needs for their families. Now, some embattled widows are pleading with the government to extend regular financial support, insurance coverage and periodic relief items to help cushion them. The calls were made at an event by private contractor Emmanuel Abuaje to extend relief to more than 5,000 widows and vulnerable persons in Kumasi. The following report has more.
Countries struggle to provide the basic needs of their families when they lose their spouses. After death of spouse, old people like us could be getting at least some relief in form of consumables. It could come in form of what we are witnessing today, or maybe a social support system to provide funds for us every month. We need attention. Life is hard after death of our spouses. Many years of struggling, and my children are also sick and not working. I can only bank my hope on other people's benevolence. With smiles, about 5,000 widows and other vulnerable people received relief items as part of efforts to ease their burden during the festive season and the beginning of the year. Each beneficiary received a parcel containing a piece of cloth, a 5-kilogram bag of rice, cooking oil, tomato paste and sardines. Kumasi-based private contractor Emmanuel Abuaje, popularly known as Abuaje Contractor, who championed the humanitarian exercise, indicated it's an annual initiative to give back to society. He says the intervention, which is in the 5th year, will support people facing economic hardships. We do this every year. We have already done it at Akosombo. The goal is to put smiles on the faces of men and women who are enduring widowhood and have to struggle to meet ends.
Normally, I feel so now. Beto bibi amo motimi omoso enya akoma kakra but enam bibi nti omuni ho a yenso ye de kakra be ne se ebe pepa omani misuo.
The initiative, which expands beyond Kumasi, supported about 1,000 beneficiaries in the Akosombo area in the eastern region in 2025. Commenting on the large turnout and enthusiasm among beneficiaries, Mr. Abuaje said it was clear indication of the level of need within society and a call for collective responsibility. The widows commended him for the gesture. For JoyNews, my name is Clinton Yabwa.
We'll take a quick break on the pulse. We'll be back with more. Hello again. Residents in several parts of Greater Kumasi have commended the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly and the Ministry of Energy for restoring street lights on the key inner roads and streets of the city. JoyNews' journalists in Kumasi have been inspecting the ongoing regional capital rehabilitation street lightening and solar-powered wet lightning project.
Visits to locations such as the Edum to Ratri Park Main Road and Denyame indicated all previously non-functional lights have now been repaired or replaced. The initiative follows a series of reports on complaints by motorists and pedestrians on the dangers of plying the dark routes at night. Some residents recounted the insecurity they endured before the lights were fixed.
So far, no, last time,
Around 9,
one of my friends was walking on this stretch around 9 p.m. in the night when the lights were not fixed. Armed robbers attacked him and snatched his phone.
First, now I'm fix here. Now, fast team fast on
Walking here at night was very dangerous, but now I can walk freely because the street lights have been fixed.
Some road traders, including basket weavers and cane sofa chair producers, also praised the authorities. They say the new street lights allow them work late into the evening without fear or panic.
Let me hear about us in January because I'm on for I'm on for a bassa but me more light and I made the bomb with Mamma Nami but light never now more. Say, light we over bedroom one grown piano. I
will not allow anyone to break the bulbs that have been fixed and providing illumination for our night work.
Meanwhile, they have also called on the authorities to make sure that other parts of the regional capital still facing lighting problems are fixed as well. They express hope that the continued vigilance will ensure the safety and the illumination of their neighborhoods. Francis Menses reports for JoyNews.
That's it for the Pulse this evening. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com and you can see our top story there, which says Asempa FM's Philip Osei-Bonsu files RTI request over state's $214 million loss from gold for reserve program. Thank you very much for being a part of the show this afternoon. My name is Kenneth Jesse. The news team returns at 7 p.m. with JoyNews Prime. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.